everyone. Kai, Andrew, thank you so much for being with me. So I want to start with the paradox. So you both have built businesses where you want to convince customers to actually use your product less, but I'm sure you also have investors, boards to answer to. How do you square both trying to build a business while also trying to advance social causes? And Andrew, let's start with you.
Sure. Hello, everyone. You might remember me as the magical Asian man from the future who wanted to give everyone money.
And that's how I describe him. That's a great way to start.
Yes. And so I cast about figuring out how can I give you money right now without controlling policy or government. And my friend Mark Cuban started a company called Cost Plus Drugs that you all are probably familiar with. I called Mark, was like, man, this freaking genius. Could we cost plus something else in American life? So I went through the cost structure of the average American's household, and it goes, this will be fun for you all. Housing, healthcare, education, food, fuel, transportation, media, and then wireless. And so I was like, wireless, can you do something there? The average American is spending $83 a month on their wireless bill. How many of you are spending more than that in this crowd? It's probably everyone. I'm going to out myself. I was spending $150 a month just for myself on Verizon.
What?
So I'm a chump. Yes.
Yeah, you really are.
Average American, 83. Average European, 35. And so I thought that delta between 35 and 83 comes to $100 billion a year in extra spend by Americans on our wireless data. And of that 100 billion, 11 billion is going to Verizon shareholders as a dividend, 7 billion is going to AT&T shareholders as a dividend. Some of you are investors who own those stocks just for the dividend, right? I mean, it's the only reason anyone owns those stocks now. And so they've become cash transfer vehicles between consumers and shareholders. And so the question for me, Kristin, was like, could I get Americans a better deal on their data? So I went to the 3 carriers. T-Mobile said, we're into it. And so Noble Mobile was born. But here's to your question. So Noble Mobile cuts the average American cell phone bill in half, about $42. But the kicker is that if you use less data, we can spend less money on you because we're essentially wholesaling it from T-Mobile. So we take that money and give it back to you. We split the profits with the user, which has the added behavioral element of paying you more if you doom scroll less, if you look up, touch grass, actually try and be present for your friends over dinner. And so the average Noble Mobile user now is spending, again, only $42 a month, but they're also reducing their screen time by 15 to 20% because it turns out people like money and they like having a friendly angel on their shoulder saying to do what we all know we should do. Because how many of you all feel like you might be going overboard in terms of your time on what Hassan Minhaj calls our rectangle of sadness?
Yeah.
You know, so.
But note that you have an iPhone there too.
I do.
Yeah.
And I'm a heavy phone user, heavy data user. But the plan is to get more money into your pocket, which will make you happier, but then also to get you off of the doom scrolling, which will make you happier again.
Yeah. Kai, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think using the phone less is actually the point, because when we started the company back in 2015, the idea is to design a phone that's designed to be used as little as possible, so you could do the things that's important for you and make you happier. And it's less about the phone, but more about lifestyle change. We want to give people the useful tools that you have on your phone, but without social media, without attention economy. It's not about the phone or the app. It's the attention economy that need to maximize people's engagement. That's the problem, not the phone.
Kaiwei, the form factor on the light phone is awesome. Do you have a light phone on you? You probably do.
Yeah, can we show everyone what it looks like? Yeah.
This is the light phone 3 that we have. It's a 5G phone with all the tools that you need. You can call, text, listen to music, see your calendar events, or listen to podcasts or notes.
It's so good for your mood and your brain. I'm going to do something, we haven't talked about this, but I think you should pass it around so everyone can hold it.
That is a bold move. How comfortable do you feel with that, Kai?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's my personal conversation, so maybe not.
See him after. We
have to find another one.
You should be the moderator of this, Andrew. I love these moves.
Because everyone here wants to fondle this thing right now.
Does anyone have one? Does anyone here have one?
Okay.
All right, we got one here in the audience.
Yeah, I was going to say,
maybe he has less concerns about his privacy me. Come on,
Well,
Kaiwei.
you can see
What
Kai after.
kind of CEO and ambassador are you that you will not
sorry,
divulge
I
your
should have, like,
personal
5
Okay,
phones in
advice
pocket.
Andrew, this means
to
I have to
perfect
put you.
strangers?
This means I have to put you on the hot spot next, which is we're going to talk about, a component of your 2020 presidential run was that the biggest
Successful
forces.
run. That's why we're all doing this from the White House right now.
Exactly. The biggest forces reshaping people's lives, automation and AI, needed policy. Why did you decide to shift then from policy regulation into what you're doing now at Noble Mobile?
So I'm just a productive, generative, impatient fellow. It's like I will be your president at some point, and then we'll start pulling levers. But in
And
the
are you
meantime,
running? Are you going to run? I have to ask, are you going to run?
I'm too young not to run again. I mean, one of the things
Okay.
people say to me is like, apparently you've got 30 more years, and then they say, but I don't think we do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't seem like we necessarily have that
Yeah.
much time. I'm for solving problems, whether it's through the marketplace, whether it's philanthropically, whether it's politically and through policy. But our public infrastructure is not that awesome at solving problems right now. And I can go into a very long diatribe about why that is. I gave a TED talk, how to fix American politics in 11 minutes, that obviously changed everything. It did not. But, but I'm still taking shots at the biggest problems I can find, and getting billions into Americans' hands and improving our mental health and our relationships right now is an extraordinarily compelling mission.
Yeah. Kai, I want to ask you because I think you get this a lot. I remember my first phone was like a 2005 like Nokia dumb phone. Why couldn't I just use that instead of paying $700-ish for the light phone?
Yeah, I mean, I think the concept is similar to how we have different shoes, different jacket, different car designed for different purpose, right? You have smartphone as all the function you need, but light phone, we're trying to give people different option that you only have the utility tools. You could obviously get a 20 years ago flip phones, or delete your app, or turn your screen black and white, right? But to my point, my opinion was that you're still in the ecosystem, right? So if you see the smartphone behavior as addiction, you try to get off addiction. Would you say you try to quit smoking? You put in the pouch, tape it over, carry with you, and say you're gonna quit smoking. You never quit smoking.
Yeah.
So we're trying to give people a different option that doesn't have that in components to try to draw your attention. At the same time, like my investor, some investor I talk to doesn't understand it too. And the question I always ask is, when is the last time anyone ever spent 2 hours, 3 hours on your TikTok, Instagram, and swiping, and you snap out of it? You're like, "Ooh, I feel so good about myself. I feel proud. I feel good. I'm gonna do it right. I'm gonna do it again right away." We never do that. We all hate it, and we keep doing it. And it's just it's not about the phone anymore.
Yeah, so some people on the light phone, what they do is they switch the light phone on Friday, and then they're distraction free and happy and able to appreciate life until Sunday, and then they switch back on Monday. And that form factor.
Hack.
So what Kaiwei's done is he's actually optimized a device for the tools that you enjoy using and would need using, but not all of the other stuff that bombards you and like one of the jokes I have is, it's an unusual occurrence for your neighbor to come and scream in your face. But you feel like you're witnessing that or experiencing that every day on social media because of your smartphone and the social media apps. So the light phone, literally, it's such a perfect name because it lightens your burdens. It lightens your mind. It's this extraordinary form factor.
When our customers start using it, we always feel this fear of missing out. You walk around, you tap your pocket, you queue up to pay your grocery. You don't know what to do. You look around, oh, I don't have anything to swipe.
Yeah, you get anxious, you get shakes.
But the magic moment is after 15, 20 minutes, you forget about social media, you forget about your smartphone. What are you doing? You start paying attention to talking to the guy behind you. And we have that story from our customers that's saying that the best the learning that she had is she's waiting in line to pay for grocery, and she doesn't have the phone, so she start talking to the guy behind her, and she realized, oh, it's okay. It's like almost giving yourself the permission. It's okay. nothing's not urgent.
I met my wife because of light phone. No, I didn't. I'm
No.
just kidding. But
How much is he paying you for this, Andrew? Yeah. How much did he slip you in the green room for this?
But Pete Davidson, Tyler the Creator, Aaron Paul all swear by light phone, where it's good for creativity and artists. And some of you actually imagine yourselves to be creative individuals. Like the iPhone is sapping your creativity. Oh shoot, look at that.
That's right.
You know, it's actually sucking you dry, whereas the light phone allows you to refuel and replenish yourself.
But the light phone, so it didn't initially have a camera, the original version. You've added a camera, you've added other features. Is there ever a moment where, you know, it starts becoming too much like the iPhone and something that you're just trying to avoid?
Yeah,
What's your breaking point there?
we get asked that question a lot, but I think our principle is really clear. I'm not anti-technology. We've been saying this for 10 years. I love technology. I just don't want attention economy built in. So to your point, we have three principles, right? Number one, you'll never see advertisement in the phone. Number two, every action our user take has a clear ending, which means if you want to get a direction from A to B, I'll navigate you to B, but I'm not going to show you coffee shop. That's not your intention. Number three, I'll never show you infinite feeds, right? So as long as the tool fit into those criteria, we're happy to offer them so that everyone has a peace of mind knowing that, hey, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm good to go. It doesn't mean you give up technology. Again, you have your iPad, your tablet, you could use that, you could use that as a more enjoyable experience to use emails on your laptop anyway.
Yeah.
It just doesn't need to bring a mini computer with you 24/7. Go to bed with it, sleep with it, wake up with it, hang out with your friends with it. It is, fascinating to me. We think this is normal. It shouldn't be normal.
Yeah.
Our tool shouldn't be, the tool should empower us to make me happier. But our tool right now doesn't make us happy.
It's extractive. You know, that there's this saying that I'm sure most of you all have heard, which is we have Stone Age brains, medieval institutions, and then godlike supercomputers in our pockets, and we're just not wired for that. You know, imagining that you can discipline yourself when you have the Star Trek, like transporter type, not a transporter. It's like
I wish. That'd be cool. Yeah.
In your pocket. I mean, we're just not that disciplined, strong.
We're vulnerable.
Evolved, and the rest we're vulnerable. And we're seeing it most powerfully with our kids. Noble just released family plans, but I'm a parent. I've got a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old. My 13-year-old came to my wife and I recently and said, I think I'm going to get an AI girlfriend. And then we were kind of shocked and said, like, why would you want to do that? And then he said, because it's going to be a whole lot easier than getting a human girlfriend. And he's not wrong. I mean, what we're introducing our kids into this frictionless environment. And how many of you all are married? How many of you have friction in your marriages? Like all of us, right? I mean, that's like the stuff of life. He's not sure. You got to be kidding me.
Half up, half down.
You know.
Yeah, this is on the record, sir. Yeah.
So
this is live streamed. Be careful.
Yes. So friction is not a bad thing. It's a necessary thing.
Yeah, I'm going to turn to the audience in just a second for a question, but Andrew, I want to also talk about, so what is the solution? Because, Australia, they have social media ban for people under 16. Do you think we could ever do that here, or what do you suggest?
I'm friends with a guy named Jonathan Haidt who wrote The Anxious Generation, and he managed to get 40 states to get social media out of grade school and junior high, all the way up through high school in many of these states. And I had dinner with him. I was like, John, holy crap, man. Like, you have done more than any political figure I know to actually save the brains of the next generation. You saved lives. I mean, there were adolescent girls who were going to do themselves harm because of these tools. And then John said it helps to write a book that half of parents were just waiting for some kind of guidance or mission on. And it gave me hope. If you had told me before John wrote The Anxious Generation that you could write a book and it would change policy in 40 states, I would say no way. Because have you looked up at our political system and the rest of it? It's like, that's fantasy land. But then he freaking did it. And he did it because all the families were desperate for someone to lead in that direction. So Kaiwei, in my view, is a leader trying to lighten up our relationship with our devices. Noble's trying to empower folks and put millions of dollars on consumer side. And I do think that this is only going to grow. There are a lot of folks who are realizing that there can be too much of a good thing.
So easier to make the change from within your own companies than campaigning or going to, I don't know, government?
I mean, John managed to do it through policy,
Yeah.
which again was very uplifting. So I'm ruthlessly opportunistic and pragmatic. Like if I see a lane, I'm going to run towards it. In this case, the fact that we got a carrier deal that enabled us to provide this utility was the unlock.
Yeah.
So thank you to T-Mobile, wherever you are, for being much better than those clowns at Verizon and AT&T. Boo, boo, you're being gouged.
Yeah. Any questions?
And extracted.
Anyone, throw your hands up. We have one right here in the front row. We have a mic running right over to you.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm good. You want a business question or a political question?
Whichever you'd like, Adam. I believe in you.
Okay. So you ran for president. Looking at America today, what's one thing that's gone better than you expected? And what's one thing that's gone worse than you expected?
What have I been? The thing that gave me the most hope recently has been Jonathan Haidt and parents and families coming together and changing laws again in 40 states. I never would have imagined it. So I'm going to run this by you guys because you guys are really fancy. But screen time for kids is now what's called an economically inferior good, which is that if you're poor, you consume more of it. You know, if you go to affluent households, they're the most likely to have no phones, no screen time, no screens at the dinner table, like all of that stuff. So there's like a popular groundswell that I think does give me hope. You know, the data around social media use in adolescent girls has been out there for 10 years or more, but now we're waking up to it and taking action. So that makes me happy. The things that are going worse, I wrote a book in 2018 about how the political system was going to not be able to stem the tide of automation and AI. And even I did not imagine that you would have such complete disregard for any of the adverse consequences of AI and some of these innovations. I mean, there are 2.9 million Americans who work in call centers and customer service for a living. When do you all think AI is going to be able to do that job? Yesterday. What day of the week is it today? I don't even know. Genuinely, what day of the week is it? Like, AI is going to get around to that job tomorrow. I think actually the Verizon CEO just came out and said that AI agents have 13% better customer service satisfaction than human beings, which is going to obviously presage massive layoffs in their customer service department. So even I cannot believe how pathetic our leadership has been on AI and these issues. We missed the boat on social media. We're missing the boat on AI. And you know who, again, are like figuring it out is the people. The people are pissed. And our leaders have essentially like just said, you guys are too smart for us, compete with China, let's go, whatever you need, whatever you want. And we all know that there's going to be like a real problem that develops. The question is whether that problem actually can be reversed.
Yeah, good question. Anyone else? Over here in the front row?
Was that what you were looking for, Adam? I don't know. I mean, it's like, that's all right. That's good.
B+.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. One from Genspark. So, question for you, Andrew, and for you as well, Kai, is how can AI be helpful and useful to the problems you were talking about? I mean, it is happening, but how can it be useful? How can it be helpful?
There are many fantastic innovations that AI will enable in like healthcare is an obvious one, material science, climate change. Like there are many ways it's going to improve our lives. And I'm someone who thinks that we should hopefully celebrate the fact that it's going to be doing a ton of work on our behalf. The problem is that a lot of Americans rely on something called jobs to actually take any money home to be able to feed their family, and it's becoming more and more precarious. A lot of fear, a lot of college graduates today are coming home and to mom and dad being like, hey, no one's in need of whatever the heck major I am, like psychology, economics, so, and on and on. And we could be flipping towards abundance because of AI. And that's a wonderful thing. GDP right now is where together is around 84,000 ahead. AI is going to push it over 100,000 ahead pretty quickly. Like, at what point do you start actually solving for poverty and other really eminently solvable problems, in my view? The problem right now is that you have, again, a public policy infrastructure that is terrible at solving problems. And then when you say, hey, why do you suck at this? They say it's because we need more money. And it's like, is that really why? Like, I flew in from New York City today. New York City is spending $40,000 per public school child per year. So you have 30 kids in a classroom, it's 1.2 million. To terrible results. And if you go to them and be like, hey, why do you suck so bad at this? They'll be like, we need more money. And it's like, well, that doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah. Well, Kai,
Sorry,
Kai,
I'll stop there.
Kai, what
So
about you?
Hopefully AI can help us flip to abundance and make meaningful progress.
Yeah, I think we are, my opinion is we're falling into the same trap, like similar to when we started smartphone and social media. We have a technology someone invented, and we start building product for the technology. And no one's asking, why do human need it? How does it make us happier? Yeah, I think from B2B perspective, AI is really helpful. But for consumers' perspective, I still trying to get my head around how does that make my life better. There are different tools that we could use, but I think designing things from a human's perspective is always my go-to path, not from, because this technology, so we build product for the technology.
Yeah.
Build product because there's a human needs. There's a reason for us to be happier. This tool can make me happier. So I want to design a product for that. I think that's missing in this conversation. I also see a huge gap between the AI optimistic, like all the positive, all the potentials, but the kids, our customers, they will tell us like, hey, if you have any AI components, I'm not buying your phone. Like, graduation, people that are booing the AI conversation, that's a real thing. There's a real gap between how the young people feel about AI versus how the business feel about AI.
Well, AI has a 26% approval rating right now, which is lower than ICE is, as an example. I mean, and so, you could say it's a comms problem or a messaging problem, but it's a problem.
Yeah. I want to end, and Kai and Andrew, I've told you about this, but in the last issue of Fortune, I wrote a story about tech addiction. I visited a tech addiction rehab clinic in Seattle, yet a lot of the population still doesn't think that tech addiction is real. One critic told me that any product is bound to be addictive, books, TV, and I'm just curious, what would your message be for people who are still debating that this is even an issue? 20 seconds or less, Kai, and then Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, repeat the same thing. Like, when's the last time you spent 2 hours on your smartphone, you wake up, you feel good? Never.
Yeah.
We all feel horrible. And it's not because you're a bad person. It's because all the app, all the social media, all the browser are built on top of maximizing engagement. But I love technology. I want to give people the modern tools without this component of trying to maximize intention. We could have different things. We could have smartphone, we could have light phone, we could have flip phone if you want to use that, right? So giving people option. The trend of AI is already left. The question now is, where does it go?
Yeah.
I was hoping that light phone and our platform can create a direction that makes sense for humans.
I've become increasingly grateful for the year of my birth. I don't know about the rest of you, where like my brain matured before a lot of these devices arrived. You know who did a study that showed that social media apps are addictive? Meta. And then they buried it, and then it got unearthed during this latest lawsuit where they're just like, oh, shoot, like, oh, yeah, we did find that if you didn't use our apps for 7 days, your mood improved and, like, a bunch of other things. I mean, that doesn't define addiction. I don't know what does. So of course this thing's addictive. You can see it in our kids clear as day. And then for adults, it's a little fuzzier, but it's very, very real. And when I talked to Jonathan Haidt about this, I said, hey, congratulations, the rest of it. And he thinks that minors were like an inarguable proposition. It's like, look, let's protect our kids. But then, does that apply to some extent to adults and ourselves? Of course it does. Like, we all know that. And so, to me, like the fact that folks are going to clinics for this sort of addiction, I think we're going to see much more of it.
Yeah. Well, thank you both so much. Thank you all.